Hello, and welcome to the Disgruntled Traveler Podcast! Now that I got your attention, this is a story about something that happened to me in a post office, of all places, in the great country of Turkey. Gobble gobble. No disrespect to people out there from Turkey. But I mean, let's face it, you got a cool name for a country, okay? All right, I traveled to Turkey, which is in, sort of the Mediterranean, if you're not familiar. It's out there in that area. I was staying 2 weeks in a city called Antalya, and I had a couple of postcards that I wanted to mail back home to my family, right? So, okay, looking up on the old app or Google Maps, where's the closest post office? I found it. No problemo. I walked to the post office. As I'm walking to the post office, the men in Turkey, for some reason, like to stare at women, especially foreign women. I mean, I'm not just talking a casual glance and then they go back their business. I'm talking about a hard stare, like they follow you as you walk. Okay? So it's not just like one guy, although it could be, but when I was walking past this restaurant, and they eat outside, like they have cafe type restaurants and everybody sits outside to eat and smoke, right? But there's like particular restaurants I noticed that there's no women that eat there, and it's all Turkish men, okay? So there could be a group of 10, 20, maybe even 100 men that are all just sitting outside at their little tables with their little umbrellas, eating and smoking and watching people as they walk down the sidewalk, right? And I'm talking from all different ages. Could be guys in their 20s. It could be older men in their 80s. They're all mixed together. It must be a cultural thing. So I'm like not really thinking much of it, but it's like, okay, I'm just, I have to go past the restaurant on the sidewalk to get to the post office. So I'm walking, and it's like, I could just feel, there must have been 50 guys sitting there, and I could just feel every one of them stop what they're doing, whether they were talking or smoking on the hashish pipe or, eating. They all just sort of stopped and stared at me, and they're just like following me like this. And it was so weird. I was like, do I have a booger hanging out of my nose? Do I have some toilet paper hanging out of the back of my pants? Like that type of stare that really had you questioning life at that moment. But I kept going as a trooper, and I ignored them, and I went to the post office. Okay, now this is another weird thing. I guess it's another custom thing out there. I don't know. But this is a true story. This is what happened to me. So I go into the post office. It's crowded, okay? We're talking super crowded. All the seats are taken except maybe 2 on the back window. I walk up to the lady at the counter and I say, hey, I need to do blah, blah, blah. And she says, well, you'll need to take a number and take a seat. Okay, so I took a number out of the ticket machine, and I noticed there's only 2 seats open, and both were by men. There was it was an empty seat by a pole. I'm going to explain to you how they were sitting. Then there was a younger Turkish guy in the next seat. Then there was another empty seat. And then there was an older Turkish guy, and all the rest of the row was taken, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go sit. I just walked up to the first seat. I didn't care which one. So I sat in between the younger and the older Turkish guy. I just took my seat, and I'm just minding my own business, right? Instantly, The young Turkish guy to my left moved over one seat and left an opening next to me. Then the older Turkish guy to my right, he had nowhere to move. But what did he do? He got up and left his seat and stood on the floor. He refused to sit by me. He just left his seat open and just stood with the crowd of people on the floor. So I'm just sitting here with two empty seats on either side of me where they were occupied before. In a matter of like a minute or two, they were vacated because I sat down. And I thought to myself, okay, I could take this as a sign as, you know, this is their religion, their custom. Maybe they're not supposed to be near single women. I don't know, right? Or is it that they just don't like women? Sort of got that feeling too. Or they just didn't like foreign women because maybe we have more liberties, you know, because we are traveling by ourselves. We have more liberties. So they don't agree with that. I don't know. I don't know what the backdrop is. But then I thought to myself, but you know what? This is sort of cool. It's better than having BO, because I was like, you know what? I get the whole row of seats to myself. Okay? Like, I could spread out. I got elbow room, right? And I could like spread out my legs and kick back and be like, ah. And no man on either side of me. I mean, I didn't even have any Turkish women sit by me. So that was sort of to my advantage. And then when they called my number, of course I did my thing. I went up to the counter. I paid to mail my items and I left. And again, I had to walk past the same restaurant with the same group of dudes, and they all stared at me as I left. And it's like, it just must be a thing in Turkey. I mean, it is weird, very strange. I've never experienced anything like that in any other country other than Albania. But Albanian men don't really give you the hard stare where they follow you with their eyes. It was only in Turkey that I experienced that. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And remember, I am the disgruntled traveler.